Hi, this is Bernie. How you doing? What's your end goal? That's what I want to know. As a business consultant in the field of marketing, sales, and business, in the industry you choose, doesn't matter. I'm in all sectors, business of all kinds, government, institutions, humanitarian organizations, churches, arts and entertainment sector, sports media, sports outcome, sports play sector, all of it. I'm in all of it. Entertainment people, services, customer training, all of it. That's what we do at Connections Consulting. We're business consultants. We have a faith-based orient because it takes faith orient in your heart to go forward in the toughest times every day of your life. Faith orient. It's based from the ancient scriptures. Modern day innovation for ancient wisdom? No, from ancient wisdom. Principles that have been proven right and true, time tested through time, like the Indiana Temple of Doom search for the Holy Grail, the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the treasure, all of it, all those principles. I dug into the Bible of modern times, the Bible of old, all of it, to get the secrets and the clues beyond my own even upbringing. And I was raised in good truth. I wasn't raised in lies like some people with a misdemeanor effect in their mind about how to search out for things and go about life and society and all that. I was raised in good truth, but honest. Like probably 70% of what I know in the truth principles came from my upbringing. 30% of it came from digging into the scriptures, finding out ancient scriptural truth. So you believe what you want to believe. I'm asking you what your end goal is. It's up to you to decide, right? It's not me to determine it. As a business consultant, I want you to hire me for any project. I don't care if you're the highest CEO, president, or king in the nation of any nation in the globe, or the lowest mongrel, barely made a dog life, quit school in grade 10 or 11 or 12, was the smart guy, grade 15 kind of education, quit, started my own business, painting houses, took the boom economy, got on the wave, making millions of dollars by the time Calgary steam hit in the mid 90s after the 80s recession. All that, Alberta oil and gas, the big boom sector out here in the West. Everybody came from all over Canada, all over the world to Canada, all over Canada to the world when the fisheries closed down in the Maritimes. All of it. We're all out here starving for a coin? No, we'll see. There's lots of people here. It ain't what it used to be. The jobs aren't abundant, but we're all here, right? Because we came to Alberta. So I'm telling you to believe what I believe. No, it's up to you. But I am a business consultant. I'll work for you if you're the highest king anywhere, priest, whoever, any sector of society, any nation, or the lowest mongrel scraping it by, making millions of dollars with your painting company, your landscape company, your computer savvy. Hopefully you're not hacking, but if you are, whatever, we'll get you on the right track. We have ethics and scruples in this company, principles. What I'm telling you is I have an end goal in mind too, and it's to have as many people come with me, get people on my journey, get people, get as many as you can, many friends and family, amass as much wealth as you can. Well, Jeff Bezos is talking a trillionaire, $1 trillion, that's a lot of money. I don't know, whatever. I'd be happy to have several billion, but that isn't the source of my happiness. My everyday happiness is God the Lord our God, and how I live my life. I've defined my definition of success. I know what it is. But I have an end goal. Creating wealth, having people, family, friends, I suppose, all of it, as much beyond me, but I got to be happy with myself first, right? Right? Huh? And then, of course, the inner dwelling peace, the peace of the Holy Spirit, but peace in all relationships, family, friends, and otherwise, business, not accomplices, associates, accompaniments, peace, truth, honor, and kindness. Those are virtues of good quality in any man that wants to follow God or dwell in a house of peace with others in a community. Community is a big word. We all say it bravely, community. But what does it mean? Sometimes you got to walk away for a minute and get your own breath. Get out in the back 40. I could name a neighbor or two's friend of mine. One of them said to me the other day, get off the block once in a while, go for a meal. That's what I want to do. You got to take your peace, walk away. Doesn't mean you don't dwell in community. Family matters. But you don't agree on everything all the time. But sometimes you can get in from your extremes. That's what I'm saying here. Polar opposites, right? It's pretty brave to say on national television, I'm so-and-so speaker or whatever. Oh, I have my boundaries and my tolerances. My mother did this or said that, or my father or my sibling or my interracial, I suppose, or whatever. And I had to walk away. Well, I bequeath that to you if that's all you have. What if your millionaire inheritance or your endowment was tied to that, I suppose, or the family company business, or seeing your children in a divorce when the ties through court or other systems, family or otherwise, suppose that the spouse has more of it than you. And so you're wanting to just have your fair shake in spite of whatever happened. And I don't suppose anything bad happened. I got salami here. This is the beef section coming up next. I'm going to be barbecuing in a moment. That's why I'm talking here, because I'm working later tonight. I got a meeting with China, I suppose. I've had several, somewhere between 27 and 30 meetings since June 1st to get my accounts collected. Hopefully those prisoners get free over there. I haven't even got to that, but maybe business can do it where government or ministry can't. Maybe business can survive the economy and the global dwelling. Get those prisoners, those 2 Canadians in China that have been locked up for coming up on 700 days? That's a long time. I'd hate to be locked up anywhere for 6 days, let alone 700. So I suppose that's there. We're going to go barbecue in a minute. I want to say to you, don't dwell in negativity. Get on it. Get on with things. Get honest with yourself. Look in the window of time we are in. There's a good book. I didn't read this book, but many of my friends have. It's called The Lies We Tell Ourselves by Dr. Chris Thurman. And it's a good book. Many people have told me. I have bought way more books than I have read. I've said I've probably only read 10 or 15 in my life, and then I forget there was a year or two there. I read 1 or 2, and it's maybe more like 30. I don't know, but there's probably only 8 to 10 that really change your life in an effect where you can dwell with it, right? The Bible is one of them. The ancient wisdom of the Bible, espousing those truths in my company, those time-tested truths to teach the dwelling outward to other people. If there is ever a time for those espoused truths to come out of people who know them, it is now. Don't be a chicken shit hiding in your little house or wherever, hiding in the back seat of your car, under the back seat of a rowboat in a storm or whatever. Come out and tell people. People need to know. People don't always know. They don't dwell in the truth because they weren't raised in it. They have lies in their head and their mind about what goes on in an economy and reality. And the honesty is, if you don't have an economy, the heartbeat of society, it's not church and faith. I mean, church is where your rest comes, maybe. Faith, your hope, you get re-spirited for the week to dwell forward in strength, to stand when all around you wants to knock you down. But the heartbeat of society is an economy. We need a robust economy. We can't go back to the Spanish flu of 100 years ago, see 55 million people die worldwide. And then following that in the 20s was the decade of the 30s, the big, not robust drought. It was entirely drought. And government had to step in and hand out food stamps to people and feed them. We're in those times now. The economy sucks out there, and the government is doing what they can to sustain us and keep us alive with CERB and CEBA for businesses, I propose, and CRB, this new one that's announced for small business owners. It's not through Parliament yet. It has to go through legislation, but it'll be $2,000 a month to patch up the work. But the point is, Those are all just patchwork makeshift things. If the government doesn't come out with something to stimulate the economy instead of helping people simply survive, we're in trouble globally. This is a global concern, not just Canada, but I'm saying it from here. This is my home, and Western Canada specifically, Justin Trudeau, and I do have a beef with you. I'm going to tell you that now. I'm just going to tell you, I have had no result, and this is my beef number 2 with federal Canada. I mentioned beef number 1 last week in the Business Free Enterprise Chronicles, the barbecue sessions here, the show. I mentioned it. Beef number 2 is administration fall down. You can announce all these great programs we're going to dwell in to help us get through these tough economic times, but if you can't even help me, one citizen, Bernie May, Canadian for 5 generations, my family, my economy, everything, my business, my dwelling, my career, my whole life, 50-some years here in Canada. I promote Canada to the world more than anybody as a good nation to come live in, come see for the tourists and tourism industry, all of it. But if you can't help me stay surviving between my business economy of startup and getting my finished accounts in when COVID hits in the middle, when everybody else is getting these $2,000 checks and these $40,000 loans, $10,000 of that forgivable, $30,000 interest-free, payback in 2.5 years. If you can't help me, the one starfish on the beach, there's thousands dying and one guy throws one in to save it. And, well, what about me? Am I a starfish? I asked you that last week in beef number 1, but I'm telling you now, I'm not hearing anything. I'm hearing coming out of federal Canada some good news in that there's politeness and kindness in the way you handle recipients calling in, I suppose. And that's important in customer business and transactions, I suppose. I've been mentioning that all the time in my blogs and my media. But it's only part 2 of the equation is solutions. And if you can't, and we're, at least we're not grumpy anymore in federal Canada, rude behavior, loud, crude, as though nobody belongs to even talk to you when you're paying $40,000 in taxes a year as an individual resident, or businesses way more, all that. I'm talking about, we got to move beyond just simple kindness now. We got to get solutions happening. If you don't get solutions happening, you're in trouble. Any business knows that. The highest or the lowest employees know if they don't know the answer, they take it to their boss, who will get one for the employee? No, for the customer who pays the bill. Well, as a citizen of Canada, I'm a customer of Canada. The overall corporate building of Canada, yeah. The corporate citizenship, the country, taxes being the margin that the overall citizen country makes. So I'm shouting at you, Justin. This is beef number 2, because think baseball here for a minute. Strike 3, you're out. I don't have one more here. I'm getting very impatient. Chrystia Freeland has been in for a month. It's good to see. I think she's pretty smart. She was the deputy prime minister before. I imagine she knows a lot. So to plug into the finance ministry, it's not like she was in some back fishing ocean ministry job that had nothing to do with much in the overall country. She was overseeing it as your right-hand lieutenant. I would think we're going to see some steam coming out of the economy. If I got to write federal Canada to the prime minister desk to get any help for my own situation in the interim of my own business, stretching me over to my own revenue, like everybody, if I have to write up to the PM and the minister level just to get a result, that's pretty bad. There should be managers and supervisors that can make decisions. For exceptions, well, sometimes the gray is in there, but you still qualify. It's just not written in stone by the exact black and white rules. Someone has to make a decision. Nobody can do that in federal Canada. This is where the administration has fallen down. And am I a man who is almost up to here? We won't even talk Premier Kenny yet, who's saying we're living in a fantasy land in Canada. I am a Canadian federalist by nature. I want to keep this country together. I figure we're unified for a reason. There's probably 10 to 15 solid reasons beyond even trade across borders. We freely do. Saskatchewan to Alberta to wherever, that I won't even get into right now. But the minute it goes hard, people are talking separate Alberta, whatever. Then we got one more border we got to pass, one more economy, one homeland security, large, no, tiny. So it doesn't matter whatever you're talking. The Federalist message still makes sense, but we got to get on with it and help people. Help me. Start with helping me. Then I'll get on with my own economy. I want to see just how much Canada maybe cares about one person that didn't land on the offshore and float in as a tourist or a resident that didn't belong here, an alien of illegal scent. I've been here a long time. We came through all the European, Germany, Dutch, all that, in through the east, lower states, up through eastern Canada. We've been here a long time. I'm not going to get into that anymore. Valentis is a product you should use. You can look down my timeline. Look in the thumbnail for my video below this, or my the link to my order your product with my ID number. It's all down there. Chris, my good buddy, has assured me he's got that, because this is just a little add-on product that I help people with. But lots of people have been discouraged through COVID, and I've been noticing people are gaining weight. They're staying at home, eating more because they're nervous about our economy and they're dwelling in it. And I noticed Serena Williams, the beautiful Afro-American, black, whatever you want to say, tennis player, everybody's putting on weight. Like, sometimes we take it out in food because we don't know how to, our internal desires and nervousness, everybody. This is a big problem. Anyhow, that's a product that can help you. We got to get exercise, all that. But just a note on discouragement, okay? You have to deal with that. You have to deal with discouragement, and nobody can tell you anything. You got to come to your own heart and decide, what do I think and believe about all this economy, the end times, the world we're in, the fact that a war could break out anywhere, world leaders aren't getting along, economies aren't getting along or working. My own household is sometimes fighting. People betray each other, where we do a handshake and a deal and it doesn't work anymore in the marketplace. They said they'd give me their word. They said they'd have that product shipment for me. They didn't. They lied. They lied about the terms. They wrote it down different than what they said to me when we repeated it back. All this. Are you going to be dishonest, or what are you going to be? Are you going to be honest in this economy? Discouraged is a bad word. It's a bad word, but it starts in your heart when you start believing things that aren't true about yourself and others. You put unreal expectations upon yourself. That's why people get discouraged. It's not a reality. I have a biblical worldview, how I see the world. As I studied into the ancient scriptures for modern day innovation, ancient wisdom, and applied those things, I have come up with probably at least 20 different clues of things I never not only didn't know in my life, but no preacher in any church has even alluded to any of those things. And you know these things from following me in my media for the last several years. I've said them many times. Just a couple of quick clues. I'll give you 2 of them. Recap. There's probably 5 big ones and 20 overall clues that make a difference in how I handle my life, but how anybody can in these end times where the world could end in a note. And in the next day, or even in 4 minutes, who knows, right? So number 1, I said, Jesus said when he died on the cross, and this is from our Good Samaritan Pro about daily life leadership of personal self, he said, all is fulfilled by my death on the cross. Everything that the law stipulates and that the prophets have prophesied is fulfilled with my death on the cross for you, the person who believes in me. So what that says is, number 1, and nobody has ever said this, no preacher anywhere in history, God, like the end time referee of a hockey game, when the game is out of control, which it is in our world, coming undone, things that we've known in our cultures and our lives growing up, our heritages are falling apart as we speak. God, as the overall referee of the hockey game, can step in at any moment and say, game over, based on that one scripture alone. Nobody, no preacher anywhere has ever said that anywhere. So that's number one clue. Number two, I talked about the kings and the concubines. I even included that in our dating service pro realm or outcomes of our marijuana health plan and our total CCI Connections Consulting Health Company. Nobody wants to hear about it though, because even the religious sector has been down on me about that. But you know, I want to tell you a story right now quickly from ancient history. This is about the ancient kingdom of Babylon, so you can get a clue here about it. And there was a prophet named Daniel, a man of God, a prophet, where he knew and he searched the heart of God in his prayers, and then he'd tell the people. And he was in a kingdom called Babylon. And Babylon back then was ruling most of the world, not our present day population, but all the world that was populated then. And this is where some of the Harley bike rider gangbanger types have a problem with me, because you push me and you poke me like a bear with a stick into, there's no more open wound. It's got a good scar heal on it. But you think about your old terror ways, how you ruled what I now call the king and the concubines and the King Solomon realm and aperture of things. You used to do things in a way of terror, death, scheming, extortion, all of that. And you've been maybe forgiven because you come to know me, and the name of the knowledge is in what I have said, the profession of Jesus Christ under the Good Samaritan pro-humanitarian side of our company, and you have believed that on your own choice, but you still have been trying to do something and go forward in your old ways, building a kingdom of your own, poking me, who doesn't go ahead fast enough for your pleasing. In the kingdom of Babylon back then, there was a prophecy by Daniel, and what that man of God said, the vision of the kingdom I see going forward is like a statue of and I'll have to go back and check the number, but it was like a 17-foot man statue of gold, bronze, and steel. But it was built from the knees down on feet of clay. Now you think about that. That was a resemblance of a kingdom or a picture of a business enterprise or economy. And what that is saying is this new solid steel, gold, and bronze kingdom was built on clay. Now, can you imagine that? Like clay pottery, how crumbly that would be with all that weight and strength resting on it? In a new economy, when you're going forward in strength, you can't go forward in the old ways. The old ways, it didn't work. We're in a time of love and kindness for all humanity. Love, kindness, being kind to individuals, even kind to your enemy. Not when you have to, but you need to. What if he pulls a gun on you? Just be kind. Get along with people. You can't do the things you used to. Fight with fight. He who lives by the sword will die by the sword. Whatever. You maybe don't care about that. I do. I want to live as long as I can in this life. This life being the first death. The second death I don't want to see. He who sees the second death, it's eternity. I mean, it's over when it's over, right? So here we are, and I'm saying to you, there's a new way. And so the picture of that story from Babylon is there are products and services in our company I'm dwelling on right now, thinking about how much time do I want to give this in the eternal picture of life for me and what I'm building, my kingdom, I suppose, my government, my business, my enterprise, all of it. How much time do I want to give to that? Because when people are poking you, thinking their old ways work when they don't, and they're wasting your time, maybe that market, even if it's 40 or 50% of your total economy, isn't worth going to with products and services to dwell in, because these other 3% of the religious guys and 3% of the old terror guys that came to a new way don't want to get it, even though they know and they know and they know. They just refuse to take anybody else's leadership because it's not at their pace or whatever, their reason. So they're wasting all your time. And 50% of your time is being sucked up by them. So if you let go of all that, you could go out and make exponential millions more. So we will be making an announcement at Connections Consulting on November 2nd, whether we're proceeding in any of these markets, the concubine dating program, the marijuana health program, any of it. And, I wanted everybody, but maybe you got to write it off at some point and say you can't get everybody, because some people are just losers. And they don't want to learn and grow, and they don't want to go on with you. Your nearest neighbor, your best friend sometimes disagrees on some of the major things. And if you can be in commonality on most things, and you might disagree on one or two, that's okay. That's good. You can get along with people. But when the major things become a stumbling block, maybe they're not so major anymore. I want to focus my time on teaching and training, dwelling with people, having good friends and community, building an empire worth having, multi-million, bazillion dollars, whatever, family and friends, my own son and daughter, all of it, my family, extended, mother, brother, all of it, sister, sister-in-law, nephews, nieces, all of it, good friends in the community. I want it all. So you got to trim sometimes. We're in tough economic times. You got to think about trim. So there's dishonest, but there's disgrace. And if you're discouraged, you need to read through some of the ancient wisdom yourself and, just scroll Google courage and find all the words that our good Lord has promised mankind about courage, and maybe get some of those in your heart when you look in the mirror each day. But discouraged leads to disgrace. You don't want disgrace. Grace is the opposite of disgrace. And what does grace really mean? Well, sometimes we say it at the meal as a group. You can dwell in it in your own heart a bit too as you have your own meal. You don't have to say it out loud. It can be silently to yourself. Nobody even really sees it, whatever, but it's your acknowledgement in your heart to our good Lord, right? The Good Samaritan pro side of our business. This is faith-based stuff for an economy we dwell in now in the end times. But what really is grace? People throw that word out at you sometimes. We all need grace. We all need grace. You just need God's grace on your life. Well, grace means you're coming up short and you need to be lended or added to. When you look at the action verb of the word, even by Webster's dictionary on the internet, you might be a server in a restaurant, pro, or whoever. Sometimes you're coming up short. The cook didn't fulfill the order properly. You didn't notice on the way to the table. The customer didn't get what he wanted. Maybe you forgot one thing on your write-down item list because you're thinking about your boyfriend last night and how your fight you had didn't go so well and you want to get on with him in a good way. Or your mom give you crap and you didn't think you deserved it, and you're a young kid at home but you're working part-time as a waiter or waitress and your mind is elsewhere. We all can go blank and make a mistake. You need grace. We all need grace. You need grace. You need your customers to be graceful towards you. That forgiving grace, and you can pray for that. We all can. God, give me grace right now. I want to do my best for you and honor my community about me, all my friends and people. But I cannot be perfect enough. That is one of the lies in this book, is the big lie a lot of people have. I must be perfect. There is no way. There's no way you can fulfill that process, all that orient, doing things, clicking off the system, making the system work, focusing on the process. That's all good. But every once in a while you blow it. Look at Jamie Benn on the Dallas Stars. That's a good guy, big, tall, solid hockey player. But he got a bad penalty in, what was it, game 4, I think, in overtime. And, sometimes the ref needs to put his whistle in his pocket a bit in overtime and let some stuff go, right? You can't get all wishy-washy, but the captain of the team, if anybody should know better and try to keep themselves out of situations, it should be him. He got in the penalty box. Tampa Bay scored in overtime, and that was what drove them up 3-1, and that was the back-breaking moment, and I'm sure he knew it and felt it. And, don't be hard on the guy, don't blame him, but those are decisions we all make. We need grace because we can all blow it at times, even though we're trying our best in the system and the process. Everybody has human judgment error at times. We all do. and we can all fall down. So we go from there. Now, what I want you to know out of this message is there are rewards for our work and our service, but we're all at a key intersection moment in time. And I mean, as a world, corporately, this is an end time theology study from my ancient scripture look. This isn't some shout only about customer service. It's a big picture faith thing. It's customer stuff in the market too, but it's about our total life and eternity. And I've given you some of those clues. And hey, dude, listen big about your belief and all that. That video, go back, all that. But corporately, we're in a world right now where many of us are in a intersection where we have to make a decision which way we're going to go. And I, perhaps, leading some of this faith quo and cause quo-oriented stuff, customer service projection, all of it, the faith side, the leadership, the service pro, all of it, that stuff, I have maybe been through and walking through some of this summer up until now. So I'm projecting it outward because in the month of October, many of you are going to be faced with having to make some major decisions about your life as we go through tough economy of Justin Trudeau liberalism that we've been through in the last 5 years. And he's handed out some good packages, but is the administration getting down there to all the people who need them? And if I can't get what I want as an individual, maybe a class action suit is what is needed against the federal government. I'm not going to say that. I don't like suing people. I like to stay out of court as much as possible. I don't like stuff coming in my direction. But, you know, a number of you have messaged me with your problems on Facebook Leadership Messenger, private message, asking me questions about my company and the result of my study into the ancient scriptures, the wisdom. And I've answered some of those questions in the videos. I'll probably talk more about hell in my November, December Sunday pro sessions. I don't want to get into that now. Somebody asked me about that the other day. But there's going to be some tough choices in the next month. We all got to decide which direction we're going individually. Many of us are going to have to seek the heart of the Lord to know our own outcomes in life, where we're going financially, relationshiply. Some people we maybe can't dwell with. We have to put the fence in the middle. And you know what? You can live in a town or a community and you don't have to be best buddies with everybody, right? And you got to make those choices. You can still get along and be kind. These are some choices people are faced with in this next month. As we go into November the 2nd, and that month on the old Hebrew calendar in ancient times is the start of the new year. So I often start attributing things that I'm thinking about in the sessions of life, in my teaching wisdom, my company corporate projections. As I go into my new year, January 2021, my official new year doesn't start till just after February 28th, March 1st. That's my accounting books. But sometimes the new wisdom starts to come for the new year around November 2nd. So we make announcements and changes, shuffles and shifting, right? So I attribute you to do that or encourage you to do the same. This next month, you may be faced with some tough directions. I encourage you to make the best decisions you can in Wisdom Pro. Look at our timeline, go through some of our old videos, try to search them out by title and topic if it applies to you and your session of what you're thinking about, the wisdom you need, all of that. You're welcome to it. This is all free of charge stuff we do because we've built a business on 3 customers in 2019. We did our business. That was year 3. Year 4, we're getting